2 p.m. on Tuesday, December 8th, 7 p.m. I'll call the Rangeley Town Council meeting to order. Mary Bell, will you do roll call, please?
Andy Schaefer.
Here.
Trey Roby. Rich Garner.
Here.
Luke Gear.
Present.
Tim Weber.
Here.
Elisa Granger.
Here.
Keely Ellis.
Here.
Okay, let's bow our heads for the invocation. Heavenly Father, gracious Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for giving your Son Jesus to die on the cross for our sins and raising him 3 days later. And Lord, just lift up our town council tonight, and I lift up our community, our nation as a whole. And Father, I lift up everyone that's feeling ill, or who has COVID, or who has other illnesses and despair, Lord, that you just comfort them and just be with them and bless them. And Lord, I ask that you bless this meeting tonight. You bless our community leaders, our state leaders, our federal leaders, Lord. Help us to make decisions that are pleasing to you. And Lord, just be with us tonight. In your Son's precious name, amen.
Amen.
You stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please start us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, with that, we are still waiting for Town Council member and Mayor Pro Temp Trey Roby to get here from work. So we're going to move down to supervisor reports under number 11, and Janet Miller, you can give a presentation, please.
Hi, everybody. I'll start with my code enforcement for the month of November. The total new cases for the month was 12.
I was going to say.
Is that better?
Yeah.
12 new cases for the month of November. The total cases that were closed and brought into compliance for November were 18. And the breakdown of the specific code violations were, we had 10 for weeds on property, 10 cases for refuse on property, 2 junk vehicle on property, and citations issued for the month of November were 3. So for the remainder of December, I'm going to be working to try to close all of my open cases so that we don't really do code enforcement actively during the winter months when it's so cold. We just respond to if we have some complaints and that sort of thing. So that's what I'll be doing for the rest of this month. And then we'll start back up as soon as it warms up in the spring on code enforcement. For White River Village, processed 2 tenants recertifications and sent those off to USDA. Regular maintenance and cleaning is always ongoing. Cleaned and repaired 1 vacated apartment. And then we finish up with the fall, the leaf removal. It's still ongoing, but that's a kind of something that goes on. It will be going on for a little while. Residents are still asked to practice social distancing, to stay home if they can. Of course, more time because of COVID is put into the sanitizing of the common areas, doors, all that thing. And any resident that's in quarantine, we, of course, help them in any way we can if they need anything in their apartment or anything like that. We are also asking that visitors and residents continue to wear masks in the common areas, and we're pretty much limiting the gatherings until further notice. We've stopped yoga and all that stuff, monthly meetings and everything, until as soon as we can start doing those things again, we will. As of December 1st, we have 1 apartment that is available, and we will have 2 more available by the end of December or first part of January. I've contacted everybody on the wait list, and people just don't want to move right now, so they've declined the apartments. So right now we've got advertisements in the paper and around town and on the Facebook page for those apartments. Liquor licensing, I processed 1 renewal license and 1 special event. Main Street, we completed the fall cleanup at Pool Memorial at the corner down there, as well as the courtyard out here, the center planter. And of course, regular sanitizing is still going on. I want to say something. Susan Turgeon will be leaving us soon. She's been an employee of Town Hall for about, I think, close to 10 years, 9-10 years. She always is working behind the scenes to make sure that Town Hall looks the way it does. And since COVID, she's done a lot of extra things. She's sanitized everything regularly. You know, if we have meetings, she comes in and sanitizes stuff, sanitizes the doors, the bathrooms, the conference room. She's always been a team player that's stepped up with really anything that's asked of her. She's helped me outside on Main Street with flowers, watering flowers, planting flowers, cleaning up. And so the women in the office, their favorite quote is, "We always know when Susan's been here because it smells good." So she's been a really valuable employee, and she'll be missed.
And when's her last day?
It's before Christmas.
Before Christmas?
Coming up real soon.
Yeah, I would like to add to that. I mean, Susan she comes in before we all get here. I'm going to really miss my talking partner when I get here early in the morning. So, but she does a great job. She doesn't complain. She just does it, goes above and beyond always, and that is probably one of the most thankless jobs.
It is.
That we all have to
That's
deal
going
with.
to be a hard position to replace.
Yes, I agree. So we are going to miss her, but we're excited for her to get closer to her family.
Yeah,
and
she's moving to Oklahoma to be with her family. So she's excited.
Good for her.
So, any questions?
No, thank you and thank her and all
Okay.
you guys. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Hey, Janet, how many rooms do you have open now at White River?
Well, we have one right now, but we will have 2 more coming available very soon. We have one that's empty, but we need to work on it. Actually, both of them that are coming empty will need some work. So there will be 3 available soon. And usually, you know, I have a waiting list, but people on the wait list, for whatever reasons, didn't want the apartment. So,
And we have one townhome too.
oh yeah, we have one townhome available as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Janet. Don is not here, and his report was pretty much self-explanatory too. wasn't it?
Yes, and I apologize, Janet is Don's replacement. He will be on the agenda in January.
Okay, all right. So Lisa, your report.
Okay, so all the departments, I told them this month, unless they absolutely positively have to spend money, I don't want to see many bills. We're really trying desperately to curb our expenses in the general fund. I think possibly just that fund and possibly one of the enterprise funds we might have to do a revised budget on, but Maribel and I worked on the financials, or I should say Maribel and I reviewed them, but we're not close enough that I feel comfortable doing a revised budget yet for 2020 because the general fund is just so enormous. We have too many departments in there and we could get a big hiccup. You never know. So we will do that on our first meeting in January. The gas department, tomorrow will help Jeannie work in the courtyard. We're going to try and get lights up. I don't know if we'll get them all up. We, along with other entities, are struggling with people being out, unfortunately. So I'm not sure if we'll get them up in time for, and I'm not even sure how much of Christmas Fest is going to be able to go forward. Maybe Tim can update me on that. So we're going to do our best to get them up in the next couple of weeks, hopefully before Christmas. Public Works has been working. We got probably 8 new signs for the path out to Kennedy because we've been meaning to do that, and the accident that happened just prompted that. I hope everyone will obey them. We can't, promise that will happen, but maybe it'll be a reminder that they need to slow down on that path. And we'll try and do some enforcement too to, get that out in their minds as well if we can. Dawn is also working on state reports, and they're also doing some yearly maintenance at the wastewater treatment plant and at the water plant, but they are also down a couple of people. Ty, they still have just a couple of officers, but they met with Anthony, the sheriff's department, and the Meeker Police Department, and they're going to all just help each other out because they're all experiencing shortages. So we'll make sure that our towns have coverage and, do the best to cover the county as well. But right now we're hanging in there. We may get one of our officers back for weekend duty, so that'll help a bunch. We've had some applications for the officer positions we've posted. We're still going to wait and see if we can get a few more. I think just right now politically, not many of them are moving because I'm not sure if they want to stay in the profession. So I think maybe once they decide which way we're moving politically, we might see other applications, but there's not much movement in that, which I was hoping we would have more. The other two positions, obviously for Susan, we've got some good applications, and then Brenda's, we've gotten quite a few more in the last couple of days, so we're going to sit down and go through those and try and get that person hired before Christmas if possible. I don't know if that's a reality or not. Maribel and I have been doing cross-training again to refresh our memories on Brenda's job so she can retire when she wants to.
On the applications for Brenda's job, are they looking more promising? I know last time we
yeah.
had a council meeting, they were
I think
promising. So
I think we have some people that are
Viable
very
candidates.
qualified, so I feel more comfortable with moving forward with interviews now.
okay,
I don't
Good.
know how Maribel, she's got to look at them more in depth than I have, but
okay.
so we're just trying to hold our own in all of the departments and hope that we don't get too many more down in the other departments. I think in the office we could, if we had to, we could close the office and have somebody work without any contact and just take turns. But I think we're doing pretty good right now. We all have separate offices so we can really social distance. And even if we had to work, if we weren't really sick, I think we could even work in our office with positive COVID and stay quarantined pretty good. So I feel pretty comfortable with us moving forward with keeping people in our office. Got a few informational items. I didn't really look through the AG&C legislative report really thoroughly. Did you, Keely?
I skimmed it.
I
but
mean,
didn't.
they have a lot in there about the wolves and everything. I still don't understand where they're going to get money for everything they want to do. The Colorado Drought Activation and Response Planning, I will forward that email to you, but the White River does not have drought planning, period. And so that was my question to them, because I believe the Water Conservancy District has a grant to do that, but they did not include them, nor have they given them the opportunity to do that. So I'm very interested to see who all, because I asked if there was going to be any Western Slope representation, because I didn't see any in the initial group of people. So we'll see how that goes. And then obviously the CDC had a reduction of quarantine recommendations, and I got the incubation timeline from Kelly Christian at the hospital, which I think is really interesting. I like the way it was laid out. It's a lot easier to understand. And then you'll notice the picture that was in there of a seaplane over Kinney. I thought that was a great picture. And Jeannie, when she had the, I'm going to say their name wrong. It was Colorado West. I can't remember the magazine that came out exact name, but they're going to focus. They got a few of those pictures, and they're going to have one in their winter edition besides that being on the airport magazine. So I thought that was pretty cool because it's a great picture. I thought it was gorgeous. And then I don't know, do you have any updates, Tim, about Christmas Fest? Or
We're still, well, like, I don't think we're going to have the band like we normally do. But they're trying to be as virtual as they can, doing the pet contest, and they're doing the baby contest, but it's via photographs. I think people vote on it. I believe at this time we're still planning on the parade, because I think you can do that safely because it's outside. And I think they may even still be doing the carriage rides. The meal and stuff is still, I think, in planning, with the new guidelines and stuff. But some of the stuff is still there, and we're trying to do the best we can.
Right.
But every time a notch gets turned back, we get, then it just
well, and you don't know what participation will be if a lot of people feel uncomfortable.
Right. So yeah, it's one of those things that's day by day. I thought by this time we'd either say, yeah, it's done, or we're going to keep going, but I thought it would be done. But we're still, having hopes that we just get people out and follow the guidelines and do the thing, so.
Okay, good deal. Other than that, we're just trying to wind down this year and try and, like I said, not spend any more money than absolutely necessary, especially in the general fund. So that is all I have right now. Is there any questions, or is there anything on anyone's mind that we'd like to talk about?
Well, just one highlight that caught me under Don's report for the wastewater plant in that area down there, where it was mentioned in a paragraph, I think towards the end, about, is it the state's new EPA actions that are coming down, or where's these actions coming down that that our system is not compliant with these new regulations that are coming down? And, you know, who's that coming from? Are they putting any money to help? What's going
They
on with that?
never have the solution for the regulations. They put in regulations and then they expect communities to waste money trying to find strategies to implement them. And they never put money out there to actually help you get
Is that-
to the regulation.
is that
That's
coming
coming
from
from
the
the state.
State EPA. Well, as long as we tell them we're working on a strategy.
Well, they always give you, you know, a number of years, but like I said, it's trial and error to try and adapt your plant to what they want you to do, and you don't, it is a waste of money until somebody finds a real true solution to the problem. And
well,
so
and that's the problem in itself, is the state is hamstringing communities. We're
That
not
are
the
small.
only one, obviously,
Exactly.
that are small, and not providing a source of funding. So those years should not even matter in my mind, even in a court of law, because of the fact that you're asking us to do something. It's like you pay a vendor to do $50,000 worth of repairs with $50,000 worth of equipment. You pay for the equipment, but the vendor never shows up to put it in.
right.
But if it's the other way around and you don't pay the vendor in a net 10 or net 30, they're able to fine you or go after you in small claims court to recoup that money and money they lost suing you. So what's the difference here? It's my
Well,
question.
The state's doing everything they can to not only, you know, put us in a bad way financially, but they're trying to take away our whole economic base. So it's pretty
Right.
tough for us.
Well, I'll say it right now then. Shame on you. Shame on the state for doing this.
Yeah.
Shame on those people that are in elected positions that are supposed to be helping us, not hindering us, and not putting us in a position that we can't have any fight out of it.
No,
So
I
shame
agree.
on the state. Hopefully they can see this video.
Well, we hope so too. We kind of
Lisa,
got.
I have one question.
Yes,
The officer position for the PD, how many positions were you advertising for?
two, the lieutenant's position and an officer. Since we promoted Jesse,
Two corporal.
depending on who we get for the lieutenant's position, we may not really act on that quickly because we want somebody that we feel really comfortable and has some experience. So we'll see where that goes.
I'll see if I can get a hold of some people and see if I
Okay.
can help tie out with the lieutenant position.
Okay. So,
Thank you, Lisa. And with that, I'll turn it back, the meeting over to Trey, Mr. Trey Roby, the mayor pro tem.
so we kind of cheated Trey and did mine and Janet's report, and we stopped up at the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you want to start there, we can move down the.
Lisa, I had a question real quick.
Sure.
With people taking on the supervisory report, it says that the people are going to need to be taking vacation.
We have.
So,
Go
so
ahead.
is there any way that with all this COVID stuff going around, is there any way that if these guys have to take vacation to get it off the books by the end of the year, if there's a possibility of paying these people out for this rather than them taking vacation, just so we can keep everything covered?
I'm working with them individually, Andy, even though it says that in policy, there's probably only a couple people that actually won't be able to, because if they are short in their department of scheduled vacation, I can't allow them to take it. Then I'll give them, first of all, I'll ask them to try and take it in the first couple months in the year, and if they can't, then we'll pay them out. Or if they don't want to do that, I'll pay them out.
Okay.
So I'm not going to take away anybody's vacation. we're in odd times right now. So
Yeah, odd times. It just seemed like on all the supervisor reports that's what they were asking for.
well, and I think too it's been compounded because we do 4-day weeks, and so a lot of people tend to not take their vacation because they have 3-day weekends, and also just reminding them to do that. And unfortunately, I'm guilty of that as well, so I can't say too much. So
Okay, thank you.
So we're down to item 5. Yep. Item 5A, discussion and action to approve the minutes of November 24th, 2020.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for November 24th, 2020.
I'll second.
Motion made by Tim, second by Alyssa. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, petitions and public input.
Hello. Thanks for taking the time here.
If you just state your name for the record.
Yes, sorry about that. My name is Jesse Smith. I'm the care coordinator at the hospital here in Rangeley. Just a little background on me. I do have experience with a lot of humanitarian aid and public safety work that I've done over the last 18 years. And I did have a presentation here for the council. I know we're tight on funds and on monies and everything, but I am looking for starting a delivery service for those folks quarantined with COVID-19 that may not have community supports. This should be a small population of the community, because generally, most folks here, they do have friends and family that live in town that can help them out while they're under quarantine, but we also do have a lot of folks that aren't. And so what I'm proposing mostly is a volunteer endeavor. I have spoken with Jeannie and multiple folks, across the town, trying to kind of get this plan formed. But right now, what I'm looking for is a resident activated. I'm in trouble. I need to call somebody to help me out, so I don't have to break quarantine. They can go ahead and get a hold of me, and we can set up, say 2 days a week where we can supply those folks with needed supplies to make sure that they get through their sickness without having to break quarantine and spread infection. Also, I was looking at this program, and it would help with a lot of the negative effects of social determinants of health, food instability, housing instability, those kind of things, because, people are so affected by COVID. People lose jobs, they can't work, they have to be stuck indoors, and they can't leave. And so this is to try to help alleviate some of those folks who, aren't able to do that responsibly. The only funds that I would ask for is maybe if we have any kind of COVID relief funding, just for any emergency situations like needing an oximeter for a 50 or older patient, because according to the CDC, over 95% of COVID deaths are from individuals 50 and over. And so I'm trying to look for ways of making sure that, if we have these folks under quarantine, dealing with this sickness, that we can get them what they need when they need it, so they're not kind of stuck by themselves kind of situation. And I was going to are talking with the Chamber of Commerce to see if we could really put the program out. Getting in contact with folks from Rangeley District Hospital to see if we can get volunteers for deliveries to do these things.
Well, and I think you and I talked about that too. I think the town employees could participate as long as we kind of know ahead of time. And in conjunction with the chamber, maybe we can coordinate that. Unfortunately, the COVID funds that I have available had to be spent by December 31st, and I pretty much have spent them. Okay. But there might be other opportunities that we could work with the hospital and maybe find some funds.
Okay, absolutely. And, if this was just for our hospital patients, I would probably just, kind of put it together as quickly as I could. But, where this is such a community-wide thing, of course, it's a global problem. But, where we're seeing so many spikes and rises in our numbers in COVID patients, recently had our first loss to COVID-19. I want to just ensure that, we are doing as much as we possibly can to make sure our community is safe and strong. And, especially our folks quarantined know that, the community is here to help. And we do support our own. So
I think we have a good relationship too with the grocery store. So like if somebody wanted to call their order in, we could go pick it up and take it. I think they even might do delivery, but they're shorthanded as well. So I think we just have to figure out how we can all pitch in and do something that makes it happen.
Make a smooth
right
process. Absolutely.
I think too, to talk to our churches, I think is another great location to partner with, or for that kind of service where it's like
well, and we do that a lot here. If we have somebody come in that we can't find a resource for, Brenda does contact the pastors at different churches, and sometimes they just take over care. So I think that is a good idea as well.
So Jesse, have you talked to the hospital? Because I was under the understanding that they had some extra COVID funds. They may not anymore, but have you tried that?
When I spoke with Tammy Dunker and Kyle Wren, they didn't really talk about the funds that they have at the hospital. They did ask that I would come here and speak with the city about it first and see where we can really kind of come together and work some of these things out.
Okay.
So.
Is this just for Rangeley?
Yes, ma'am. Unless we can find ways of expanding the program. But that would require volunteers elsewhere as well.
I don't think they have trouble finding volunteers in Rangeley. Probably not.
I think we just need to get our organizational structure put into place, and then I think, like Renee said, that's usually not an issue. It's just a manage of organizing it.
Do you have for this? I think it's a great idea. So we have a central point, so nobody gets missed. Do you have procedures set up? Like if you're delivering food to somebody who's under quarantine, what's the procedure? And you're asking for funds. What do you think it would take to support this type of program? And if it's just the volunteer base to cover gas and things like that, but if people really need something. I think if we have that central point to say, hey, Lisa, these people need this here. They only need this. They need a couple $100 to help them get through or whatever. Is there a procedure set up? If you get this going, or to let people know that you have this, of how this is all going to work.
Okay. I don't know if I have it clearly enough in my framework here. But as far as the actual delivery to the door, I generally, I would think that most of our quarantine folks, would have a way to pay for what they need. Calling up the stores and saying, hey, I need these items. And then of course with the program working with them, they can say, hey, we have some COVID orders, that need to be delivered. And then they can pay over the phone. This would just be for, and I estimated, I mean, it shouldn't take more than 5,000, looking at, the population size, because, I mean, it would be mostly for, those folks who are, very low income, or, or those folks that are really stuck in a bind that can't do or afford what they need. But of course, that's where food banks and such can come in. I'm trying not to strain the food banks and some of our other resources unduly if we don't have to, just because, I mean, they still are providing a wonderful service, and I don't want to put that undue stress on them. But as far as delivery, once we know that there's a delivery, we would have the volunteer go pick it up. Of course, mask, gloves, drop it off at the front door, and then, we could go over the phone, text, call, and say, hey, it's delivered, it's at your front doorstep. So it would be contactless.
Yeah, and I think this is a great idea. I'd just like to see it, in a black and white format. This is what we're proposing, this is what we do, and then look at it as a whole and see if we can eliminate a lot of the cost that's associated with it, because, I'm hearing lots of different things, but I'm not seeing, exactly how it all boiled down to where, how's this going to happen, who's going to run it, who's going to do it.
Okay.
That type of thing. And I ideas like this are great. It's just if it's got a good foundation and people to drive it and follow through with it and good communication line, it'll be successful. But if it's not, then, it's like one of those things you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't, because you're trying to do something good.
Right.
But you got to make sure, we're doing the right things here.
Trying this in the organizational structure.
Right. Well, it's just everything and how it's going to go. And I mean, if this is going to be a volunteer-based thing, let's see what that volunteer base is willing to do, and let's see what our needs really are in the community. Because, like Renee said, and everybody knows here, and everybody I look at, I know would not be opposed if somebody needed help. If they had to dig in their own pocket, they'd dig in their own pocket to help. I think if we do due diligence on this and put it together where it's something that, hey, it's free, but if it gets to this, then maybe your health insurance or your medical insurance or this. But if you just need food dropped off, hey, I can cook extra tonight and drop a plate off or 2 plates or whatever you need.
I do think having something like the WARM committee or something put together would probably be helpful before we move forward. And as far as funding, we didn't use any of our funding out of the fund for public giving this year, which only be a couple thousand. But we couldn't move forward with that without having a regular meeting for that. But I could send something out.
But let's see what our costs
Right,
are.
right. I was going to say we do have some discretionary funds we could put towards a program.
Right.
Okay.
So thank you.
And I do have some written project structured project proposal sheets thing. Sorry, it feels like a Monday today.
So I have a quick question. Any idea how many people you're talking about that you might need to? I mean, we're talking 20. We talking 50.
I'm hoping we only stay in the tens. But I mean, it's all situational, just due to, I mean, how many folks we have quarantined at one time, with infection rates. I mean, we get another really big surge and half the town's down. Of course, at that point, we may need a little bit more help. But, if we get a large number of folks, then that could rise.
So
absolutely.
You've had some of these people reach out to you looking for resources,
I
looking
have had
for somebody to deliver meals or groceries or whatever to their.
Yes, sir. I have had 4 or 5 calls from different folks. I was able to get some decent workarounds, and I've been able to help a couple folks out. Unfortunately, I mean, if this becomes a bigger thing or a more regular thing due to quarantines, and high infection rates, then I'm only one guy.
But the other thing too, I think we have to be careful about this too. If they're quarantined because of HIPAA laws, you have to really shorten that to who
has knowledge about it.
Right.
And we did talk about that as well.
Right.
And the biggest workaround with that is having it patient activated, where they're coming to us saying, hey,
Right.
I have it and I'm needing help. That's at that point it's like, okay, they're the ones getting that information, not us. So
moving to the funding, Lisa, did you talk about how the money would be managed?
I'm not in charge of that. I was just saying if we were to give money, we usually just give it. I don't manage what we give out. It's a presentation to say, I need this, and they usually give some kind of justification for those dollar amounts. Fund from public giving, I don't manage it. Once it is given away, it's up to the entity to use it as they've been awarded.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing, once you get the money, you ask them for 5,000. Once you get that money, and you have a spike in COVID, and that money's gone, then what's your next step?
do the best we can with what we have.
Right. I don't think he's really speaking truly about money tonight. I think he's truly speaking about helping, but there could be costs. And that's what I was asking on the plan. What is the need and what could be the cost here, and what are we thinking are the needs going to be? And that, to me, that's bottom line, what you got to look at what the funds are going to be spent on. No matter how many dollars you use, and if you're using tax dollars, especially that, you have to be able to answer for dollar. So, which I'm not opposed of if that's truly a need in the community. It's just, we got to get to that point of, okay, this is a great idea, but what's the start and what's the end game on this?
Okay, so a sit down with the key players that would be involved in the program.
And that's kind of, I thought, where we were headed to when we spoke.
Absolutely.
So I think that's what we need to do.
Okay, absolutely. Just make a time sometime in the next couple days, if that's okay.
If we can get it done in a couple
Yeah,
days,
I
I
mean,
would
I
love that.
understand.
Can't
Great.
promise you anything, but yeah.
Yeah, crazy
We just need to
days.
figure out who all we're going to group together to accomplish this.
Okay, absolutely.
But I appreciate your efforts. I mean, I think it's a great deal. I do.
Oh, yes.
And if you put out the call for volunteers, I guarantee you will not have a shortage of people.
Oh, that's
Myself
always good
included.
news.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Nope. 7, changes to the agenda. Did we have any other than G?
Yes, but actually, so I changed our discussion action to G. I'm looking at the minutes, sorry. I was like, is that C? No. We're adding item G to the agenda, and it's the approval of our contract for the building inspection to be done by Rio Blanco County. And I'll just go over, there's just some brief changes in that from our one last year. So that's why I kind of sprung it on you, so we would have it in place before January 1st. So I apologize.
Item 8, public hearings. Public hearing for the 2020 budget resolution 2020-08, 2020-09, 2020-10. Summarizing expenditures and revenues from the general fund, water fund, wastewater fund, gas fund, conservation trust fund, housing assistance fund, RDA fund, RDC fund, Rangeley Housing Authority, White River Village, and the Rangeley Foundation for Public Giving for fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021 and ending December 31, 2021.
It's a lot. Would you like me to just do the overview now, Trey, or do you want to wait until on the whole budget?
You can do both. It don't matter to me.
I'll just review what we did in October. We haven't changed much of the budget since October. After analyzing our capital projects, we did decide to drop the bike path improvement. After we reviewed that grant, CDOT requirements, we would spend at least $100,000 on things that they have to have done in their requirements to do the grant, like a new survey. We had to prove our right-of-way, and that path has been there for over 20 years, so we just really felt like we were not getting the most bang for our buck. And also, unfortunately, the Conservation Trust Fund doesn't have a large reserve, so we would have to pull out of the general fund, which is already using reserves. So we're just going to forgo that until we are in a better financial position. White River Village, we moved a few numbers around just to make sure that we're in compliance with the USDA loan, but they weren't ones of great quantitative value, so it's pretty much intact. It'll still be in the black, just a small, I think a little over 1,600. Those were the major changes that we made from our October. We'll have at least 3 funds that we'll be pulling out of reserves: the general fund, the water fund, and the wastewater fund, if our capital projects are all approved and move forward. We tried to minimize that, and that's what we'll do until we can see an increase in our revenues. So we will work diligently to keep all of our expenses down. And we are changing some job descriptions and not rehiring at least one position, and making some more part-time as they leave if we can, to try and cut down on our labor cost as well. Did you have any questions about any of the funds in particular? I guess I will bring up too that our enterprise funds will have a rate increase as approved on our last meeting, effective in the first billing in January, which will help them maintain their reserves as we go through these capital projects as well.
I didn't have any questions on it. Okay, we'll move on to 9, committee and board meetings.
We have not had any at the town. I don't know, is AG&C even meeting this month?
No, we don't have a meeting this month.
Okay.
The next one will be in January, I believe.
Maybe we'll try and start working on community outreach meetings in the new year. I just think until we get through our surge and illnesses, it's probably good to put off any meetings that we can.
You did item 10, council reports?
We did not.
Did not? Okay. Item 10, council reports. I don't really have any meetings. Supervisors reports.
Did those.
You did those. You did Don's.
Old business next.
Item 13, old business, which doesn't look like there is any. Item 14, new business. Discussion and action to approve the November 2020 check register.
Hey, what was the rain for rent?
That's a rental. I think it was a pump. I believe that was a pump rental.
I can't hear.
She thinks it was a pump rental. Maribel says it was for the water line.
Oh,
Okay.
When the ditch got flooded. Okay.
The other thing I had was, are we done with Striegels? Are we paid them out with the 21 plus some change?
No, we still have the survey, and we had one change order for when we had the water line leak. So we'll still have at least one more invoice.
Okay.
So that's what they're waiting on to finalize that project?
Yeah, we've actually finalized it. I'm just waiting on the invoice.
Okay.
We should have it this week.
Okay.
And then I'll finalize the grant, which won't cover all of those costs because we've already maxed it out. But we'll know where we sit in December.
make a motion to approve the November 2020 check register.
Second.
It's Luke.
Heyo.
He looks good tonight.
Motion made by Rich, second by Luke. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and action to approve Resolution 2020-07, designating a public place for posted meeting notices during calendar year 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Not used to sitting here.
Do we know where that place is going to be?
Yeah,
They are
Front
the
window.
bulletin board
Yeah.
right outside Brenda's office, and then the kiosk in.
I thought so.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Motion made by Tim, second by Rich. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion and action to approve the 2021 certificate of mill levy in the amount of $169,184.90.
That is a slight decrease from last year,
How much of a decrease?
about
No?
6,000.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021 certification of mill levy in the amount of $169,184.90.
I'll second.
Motion's made by Keely, second by Alyssa. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and action to approve the resolution 2020-08 of the Town Council of the Town of Rangeley, summarizing expenditures and revenues for the General Fund, Water Fund, Wastewater Fund, Gas Fund, Conservation Trust Fund, Housing Assistance Fund, RDA Fund, and Rangeley Development Corporation, and adopting for said funds budgets for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2020-8. 08.
Second.
Motion been made by Tim, second by Rich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and action to approve the resolution 2020-09 of the Board of Directors of the Rangeley Foundation for Public Giving, summarizing expenditures and revenues for the Rangeley Foundation for Public Giving, and adopting the budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020-09.
Second.
Motion's been made by Keely, second by Rich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and action to approve the resolution 2020-10 of the Rangeley Housing Authority summarizing expenditures and revenues for the Rangeley Housing Authority, White River Village, and adopting for said authority a budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2021, and ending December 31st, 2021.
I'll move to approve the resolution 2020-10.
Second.
Motions are made by Luke, second by Rich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and action to approve the agreement between Rio Blanco County and the Town of Rangeley to provide a building inspector services to the town for 2021. said there was a few changes.
Yeah, so they did take out, this is pretty much the same contractor agreement that we had with the county for the previous year, but I believe it was in March, they went to the state plumbing inspector. And so those services were taken out of this contract because the county building inspector no longer does that, nor will we work with the state on that as well. So they took that out. And other than that, it has been reviewed by Dan and myself, and there's nothing that changed substantially that we shouldn't move forward with this. Just a reminder, initially when the county was doing this, they were garnering the building permit fees, and we went back to getting those fees here in the town. So that's a good thing too, because then we kind of can keep track of those as well. So I think this is a really good intergovernmental work program for us because we really can't afford a full-time building inspector. So,
And the only, downfall to all this is trying to get a state. I know the electrical inspector's pretty good about getting here, but plumbing, I don't know. I've heard things that they haven't been too respondent to. They haven't been quick about their actions of getting
because I
up here
thought
to
that
inspect.
one of those guys lived in Meeker actually.
So hopefully that's the truth, but
Yeah.
I know that that's a struggle getting the state up here. I mean, just last week I talked to 8 different people to pay a $30 fee for the elevator we have at the rec center. So I spent 4 hours of my time trying to get that done.
Here. Hey, heel.
He's talking to his dog.
Oh, I was like,
Like,
what is he
what?
saying?
See how
Sorry.
Espanol?
Sorry, she wasn't listening.
Come on, Luke. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the agreement between Rio Blanco County and the town of Rangeley to provide building inspection services to the town of Rangeley for the calendar year of 2021.
Second.
Motion's made by Tim, second by Rich. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 15, informational items. You guys can go through those.
We did.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Do you have any questions, Trey?
Nope. 16, board vacancies. 17, scheduled announcements. 18, I make the motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:55.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Maribel.